There was this Satanist.
Yeah.
He used to do voodoo to try and harm people.
Yeah.
And one time this woman came to him and said, I need you to try and kill this other woman that I hate. I want you to put a hex on her and kill her. The satanic priest, what he ended up doing, he did his rituals. And the moments where he spoke to the devil, you know what the devil told him?
What? Don't do it?
Not this woman.
Whoa.
Apparently, the devil telling the high priest of Satanic Church, not this woman. Her God is too powerful.
Whoa, that's weird.
Also, there's a lot of claims too. These are coming from ex-satanic people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was a person, they went to do harm to people, I think at some church, right? When he was walking towards them, he said there was a veil of fire
Holy shit.
that it wasn't visible to the eye, but he couldn't walk towards them because it would literally burn his flesh. They couldn't see it. It's just like more of a
Like a force field.
Yeah, it's something spiritual that you can't see.
Yeah.
If you don't think demons are real, y'all might want to stick around for this story. So I'm going to tell you guys a personal testimony of mine about the first time I ever got delivered before and the first encounter I ever really had with demonic entities, demonic presences, and why deliverance is so necessary in the body of Christ. So this was around 2019. I was trying to find God, but I was still living in an unrepentant lifestyle. Like I was still engaging in sexual sin. I was cussing. I was partying. I was drinking. I was doing a whole bunch of things that, would invite demonic forces into my life. Now, at this current time, I was in college and I was about to go to nursing school. So I was finishing up a couple of prereqs and I was in a class. It was one of the last classes that I needed to get into the program. So I remember sitting in this class and there was like a group of us in the class and a bunch of us were all applying to the nursing program. And something that we all had to take was a TEAS exam. Now with this exam, like for some people it was really hard, for some people it wasn't. And I'm not gonna lie, for me it was not that hard. And I took the study materials and I passed the test. And I remember coming to class and saying like, yeah, I passed, guys. This is the book I used, blase, blase. So there was a specific girl in my class who at the time, even the first day I met her, like if you guys watch my video about me having the gift of discernment, as soon as I saw her, I got that uncanny feeling of like, kind of be cautious with this girl, but like, I didn't really have any tangible evidence of anything she did to me other than just that feeling to be cautious with her, right? And she asked me, hey, like, you passed the exam, right? So I'm like, yeah, I passed the test. Like, this is the study book I use. Like, I got it from Amazon if you want it, like, whatever. And she's like, oh, okay. I will also say this too, prior to this exchange, she did mention that she had been trying to take this TEAS exam for several years and she just was not able to pass it. And she was at her wit's end getting like desperate to pass the exam. Okay, that's really important. So after she says, oh, okay, I say, if you want, like, I mean, since I'm done taking the test, you can have my book. Like, it's not really a big deal. Like, I don't really see anything of it. And she's like, yeah, actually, I'm going to need exactly your book. I'm going to need your book and your book only. So I was like, okay, like I said, I'll bring you my book. You can have it. I'll bring it tomorrow, though. I'm not going to bring it today. And she's like, you better bring the book. Like, I'm so serious. You need to bring your book to me, like, immediately. And I'm still kind of like, okay, like, I'll bring the book for you. But I just thought the whole exchange was kind of off-putting. And then after that, I didn't really think anything of it. So I go home that night and I tell my mom, like, oh, yeah, Mom, like, this girl in my class, like, she was being kind of weird. Like, I told her I was going to give her my book so she can study. And she, like, was kind of, like, weird and, like, insistent that I bring the book to her and, like, made it a big deal. And, like, thought it was kind of weird, but I'll still probably give her the book anyways. But at the same time, like, I just thought that was super weird. My mom, my sister were all kind of, like, laughing it off. We're like, yeah, that's so weird. Like, whatever. But at least you passed your exam type deal, right? So that night, I go to bed, it's a normal night, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, my mom comes running in my room, and she's like, did you give that girl your book? And I'm like, no, I didn't give her my book. Why? And my mom's like, do not, under any circumstances, give that girl your book. I just had the weirdest dream. I don't want to tell you what I saw, but I just want to say to you, like, it's weird. So I'm kind of like, okay, Mom, like, you're being dramatic. Like, I have a Haitian mom, and Haitian parents, they just always having dreams. So I didn't really think too much of it. I said, okay, Mom, whatever. I didn't give her the girl the book. And then, I took the book and I put it in my bag to give it to her. But for whatever reason, I just could not give her the book. So this whole exchange happened like on a Monday. And this was Tuesday, now the new day. And I just remember that morning passed. I didn't see the girl in the class, and then I didn't end up giving her the book, but I started to feel very weird, and I couldn't explain why. Just for context, back in that time, I had never experienced depression, anxiety, or anything of that sort. So all of a sudden, that Tuesday, I just started feeling extremely just heavy. It's like my mind would not silence, and I felt very, very, just a lot of thoughts were racing through my head, but like stuff that I genuinely did not want to think about, and I could not stop the thoughts from forming. I also started to notice I felt like myself in an extreme mental fog, and it almost felt like unnatural, like I couldn't control it. And I started also getting these extremely blasphemous thoughts, these really weird thoughts, like just things that I'm like, this is not how I feel, but why do I keep hearing this stuff? And just to not make it like, so that TikTok doesn't take this video down, like I was getting thoughts for me to like myself. I was getting thoughts about God is not real, you're ugly, you need to die, nobody wants you, just a whole bunch of stuff that I never thought about before that incident. Now, this continued for days, guys. I mean, this happened on Tuesday. By like Wednesday, Thursday, my friends started getting very concerned. Like they were almost like, what's going on with you? Like, this is not like you. Like you're not responding, you're not talking, I just felt so low and so drained, and the thoughts were racing through my mind. I felt like I wanted to isolate myself. I was trying to read my Bible, and I kept getting blasphemous thoughts while I'm reading the Bible about this is fake, this is not real, God is not real, you're gonna go to hell, and all of these things, and I just could not shake the feeling. So like I said, prior to this point, I had never really knew about demons. I didn't really know about deliverance. I just knew that I didn't feel right, and I felt funny. And every time someone mentioned anything to me about God, I immediately felt myself getting into like a rage. So since I lived with my mom at the time, she started to notice like my behavior was off, and she's like, what is wrong? And she kept saying like, I'm gonna pray for you. I don't know what's wrong, but I need to pray for you. And it actually got so bad that one of my best friends called my mom and said like, hey, I know you don't understand this, but your daughter needs to come to church this Friday because we need to pray for her, because this is not normal. Now at the time, my best friend was already actively walking in deliverance. She was already familiar with it. They already knew the signs of when somebody was getting oppressed by demonic entities. But I also was kind of skeptical, and I didn't believe that this was a thing. I just thought that I was going through something. So Friday comes, and my friend's like, please, 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 if you do nothing else, I need you to come to church. And if you feel the urge to really not come, you need to come even more. So that Friday comes, I feel so low energy, I feel so drained, I feel so overcome with the desire to not go to church, because I just could not, for whatever reason, church seemed like everything I did not want to go to, and that was just so not in my character. I ended up showing up to church 30 minutes late, which if you know me, I'm really not a late person. And as soon as I got in church, I just felt angry. Like an extreme amount of anger came over me. I felt tense. I felt worried. I felt like I need to get out of here. And I just remember sitting down in church and staring at the wall and feeling so upset. And all of a sudden, the more that people started praying, the more that people started talking, the more I started feeling like this uncontrollable urge to just like, I need to get out of here. And as soon as I was getting ready to collect my things to leave, one of the church members came over to me and she said, I need to pray for you. And the Holy Spirit told me to come up here and be gentle when I spoke to you. I just remember this lady came to me and said, did you try to give someone a book this week? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, that girl used that book to put witchcraft on you. And she said, and if you desire prayer today, like we will break the demonic ties right now in the name of Jesus. And I was just like, yeah. And I remember they started praying for me, and I just started weeping and crying and feeling heat all over my body and feeling weak at the same time, and then also feeling like just this presence rise up out of me. And also I could feel it leave. And I just remember after the entire deliverance session was over, just feeling like so relieved. And ever since that day, I really went back into the Bible and really tapped in and saw like, yeah, Jesus spent primarily 95% of his ministry casting out demons, healing the sick. And it opened my eyes to the fact that, wow, like, we live in a world that is not flesh and blood, but it is purely spiritual, like God said. And guys, when I tell you, after that, God has opened my eyes to so many more things. Like, I can literally see demons manifest now in people's face, and it's just, y'all gotta stay prayed up out here.
If you could meet the devil,
Hit him twice. Don't do that again.
I had met this homeless guy near church, and I was telling him, oh, like, are you gonna come in? He's like, oh, no, I don't go to church. And he was like, oh, well, I don't need to go to church because I talk to God every day. And he was saying I'm closer to God than most people that go to church. I'm like, okay, sure, explain to me. So then he started telling me this story. Basically what happened was, when he was 18 years old, him and his best friends got deployed to Vietnam. Most of them got split up, but 3 of them stayed together. And they got an order to go unalive some people in this one village in Vietnam. When they got there, though, all the men were gone because they joined the war. So their order to unalive were for the women and children. Him and his friends were walking, and he heard a sound. And as he turned behind him, he sees his friend, like, collapse to the ground. By the time he could even realize what was going on, his other friend got shot in the head. Before he could even move or do anything, his other friend gone too. There were 4 people walking, 3 of his friends plus himself. So he dropped to the ground and realized what was going on and decided to stay laying on the ground for like several hours. After like maybe 5 hours, he stood up and he was thinking, okay, well, you know, they're like, it's quiet now. I'm sure they're gone. Like, I'm safe. The moment he stood up, he got shot in the chest and died. And when he died, he said that he went to this very dark and messed up place. There was a being there that he couldn't quite identify. He said it had like the most evil presence. He described it as being sucked to the ground. And the entity was like, you're dead and you're going nowhere. You're gonna stay here and suffer. Right after he said that, all his worst fears started to happen. Like, let's say you're scared of spiders, okay? Spiders started crawling all over him, things like that. There was literally nothing he could do. He just had to stay there and suffer. Like, it was bad. He was too weak to fight back. He was just there getting tormented. So obviously he started yelling. And the moment he started yelling, he started hearing like a million voices yelling as well. And he was looking around him, and all those voices were crying, being tormented, yelling. And that whole time, all that's happening, the devil was telling him, oh, well, you know, you're stuck here. You're not going anywhere. Like, you better get comfortable because you're staying. He felt so defeated, and the devil told him, you're staying here for the rest of eternity. So he started praying. When he started praying, he said the devil's voice got quieter and quieter. And the devil told him, trying to discourage him, why are you praying? God can't save you here. Stop praying. God can't save you. Thankfully, he ignored him and kept on praying. And then all of a sudden, he wakes up in this military, like, clinic or hospital. Ever since, he changed the course of his life. He said he now follows the 10 Commandments. He said, like, he wants to just live a righteous life because experiencing that really traumatized him, and he doesn't want to ever go to hell because of what he saw. But what was really interesting to me was his description of the devil, or like that monstrous entity. He described him as like a figure with like a really evil presence and 7 snakes coming out of his head and his back. I was like, oh, damn. He said how that experience was all he needed to become a believer. That's it. That's all, because he felt like God took him out of hell in that moment, in that prayer. And it was also the first time he ever prayed in his life. What I find is so interesting about everything that he said, especially the part where he said when he started praying and the devil was telling him to stop praying and discouraging him, something similar happened to me. I was having a bad dream, like the scariest nightmare. And obviously I started praying, and I don't know what it was, but it was telling me, oh, stop praying. Like, you're wasting your time. Jesus is not going to save you. I low-key felt a little bit discouraged, but I kept going, and I woke up from the dream and I felt a lot better and I could go back to sleep. But yeah, that was the story about the guy that went to hell and came back and became a believer. I hope you liked it. Bye.
You don't believe the demonic is real, you're not paying attention.
Yeah, you tripping.
Yeah, you are. And man, I've seen it. I've seen it in subtle ways. I've seen it like all up in your face kind of ways. I mean, I've been in other countries where I've encountered demon-possessed people in very, very unnerving ways. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, but demonic forces are real. The unseen realm is real. The spiritual battle is real. And I am all for common graces, okay? So when people are battling sickness or when people are battling disease or when people are fighting against anxiety or depression or whatever, I'm all for common graces. Dude, go to the doctor, take some medicine, whatever. Praise God. Like, I believe that all of these advances are part of the creation mandate or the cultural mandate where God told Adam and Eve to take all of these natural resources and to improve upon what he had made. It's people fulfilling the mandate in Genesis 1.
Yeah.
But here's what I'd say, man. Sometimes that stuff that you're going through, what you need is deliverance. So it's bigger than discipline. It's bigger than medicine. It's bigger than doctors. What you need is deliverance. And maybe somebody needs to hear this today because you've been struggling and you've tried it all and you've been working at it and you're still stuck. And what I'm saying to you is it might be what is happening is there's demonic oppression going on in your life.
Yeah.
That there are forces that you cannot see battling against you in unseen ways. And they're inflicting pain and they're inflicting problems into your life that only Jesus can undo and overcome. The great news is Jesus can provide deliverance because he has authority over demonic forces, and demonic forces must bow to the commands of Jesus. So here would be my recommendation. You need to get some godly people around you to lay hands on you and to pray over you in the name of Jesus that those demonic forces would flee, if that is what's happening in your life. And I think
I met the devil once and wasn't even scary. Remember when COVID was first causing people to go crazy and panic and not look at each other in the eye? Well, all this was going on, and I was in my bathtub taking a bath, and I was just meditating and saying, why is this happening? Why is all this chaos and fear? And all of a sudden, the devil was standing there. Not spooky, just a dark figure. He was cleaning his fingernails with a pocket knife. And I said, devil, why are you doing this? Why are you causing all this fear, panic, chaos, and death? And he looked at me and he said, Rebecca, I'm just feeding my people. His people meaning the dark chaos energies. And then I just had this revelation that we could be feeding the chaos energies too anytime we meet hate with hate or anger with more anger. Who are you feeding? That's the question. Are you feeding feelings of light and love? Are you helping the chaos energies by perpetuating? Something to think about. Leave me your comments and tell me what you think.
So this phenomenon is like a new thing, and I think it came out like right after 2020. I'm not sure what it was that brought it, but it's a new thing. And I didn't hear about it until recently, right? So about 2 years ago, I was reading about it. I'd say about 2 years ago. Then I was driving home. Then I ended up stopping at a Goodwill that I saw off the highway. So I was on the highway. I'm like, oh, let me check it out. And it's like one of those big, big Goodwills. I love going to Goodwills, especially new ones. And plus in the area I was in, it's more of like a wealthier area. So you can find like nice things. And in those kind of areas, I found like Chanel bags and all that. So you are able to find something nice if you're lucky. So anyway, I like to stop by every time I saw one or I see one, so I can be able to kind of look through and see what I find. Anyway, so I walked into the store and I'm shopping like normal. So I saw this beautiful picture frame. it was completely empty, but around it, it's like one of those vintage, big wooden, like very beautiful picture frame that you will see like in a wealthy person's house. Anyway, so I saw it and I was like, oh my God, you know, I really wanted to get it. But then I saw another smaller one right next to it. So I told the guy, okay, well, hold this one for me at the desk. I'm going to grab a second one and I'm going to look at some stuff and I'll be back. So while I go, I call my sister because she was looking for a new table for her house. So I called her FaceTime and I was like, hey, look, I found some tables, you know, can you come down here quick? So while I'm talking to her, I'm on FaceTime with my sister, and I accidentally was about to show my sister the table, and the lady was sitting at one of the chairs that my sister was going to buy the table that comes with one of the chairs. Anyways, so I'm like, hey, look, I'm showing her, and my eyes accidentally, I have my sister like this on the phone, and my eyes accidentally looked over at the lady because I was trying to not face the camera towards her so I don't show her face, you know, on my FaceTime with my sister. So then that's when I noticed like only one side of her face. Now you might think I'm crazy, and people might say, oh, well, it's probably a stroke. It's not a stroke. There's no way it's a stroke. I work with people who have stroke. I work on a stroke unit, okay? I work on a stroke unit. I know what your face is supposed to look like when you have the side droopy and everything. She did not have a stroke. And well, at least I don't think so. Maybe it's like a new thing that's how your face look. But when I saw what I saw, didn't look like a stroke. So one side of her face was completely normal. So we're gonna take this side as the normal side, and this side of her face, everything started drooping down. But instead of it drooping all the way down, that side of her face was smiled up like the Joker. Just this one side though. It was like smiled up. It was all the way far back where the skin started wrinkling up. Back up, but it went all the way back to like right here. Her smile went all the way back up like that, and then that skin started like meshing, like moving towards that skin, so it made like all the lines, like about 3 or 4 lines. But it was just that side of her face, and her eye looked crazy. It wasn't just like my eyes, because if you have a stroke, right? If you have a stroke, the side of your face will look like it's drooping, and it will feel like it's drooping, and you kind of have like a upside down smile like that. That's not what that lady looked like. She did not look like that. She looked like she had a monster face. Have you ever been to like one of those masquerade balls and you have one side of your face with the mask? That one whole side of her face had the thing, this one eye was all weird, like looking, and then this side was like droop upside down, but then that smile was up like this. So it was kind of like weird. I look crazy even explaining it to you guys. But I knew that this lady was, and she didn't talk to nobody. She was sitting there like as if she was like taking a break, but I knew she did not work there because she had a regular uniform on. But she didn't look like she was with anybody. She was just sitting there on the chair, and I had to literally try to talk to my sister, try to whisper, because I'm trying to tell her in Creole, but I really didn't want her to hear. So I went like this. So I put the phone in my ears like this and faced the lady so my sister could see the lady, so it doesn't look like I'm like obviously trying to record the lady. But I could not explain to my sister what I saw. I just knew that the lady was not human. She was not human, and I felt a little uneasy about it. And I was like, I ended up paying. I went back up front. I was not about to leave those picture frames because they look nice. Once I set the one that I got up, you guys will see. I'm going to show you. Let me know if you want to see it, because I want to show you what it is, what I actually went and bought. And I experienced this. When I first heard about like the whole phenomenon face thing, I thought it was a joke. Because I've seen the one where both faces are like this, up like that, and then it like smiles up, but it smiles so far up where the skin start like pulling in back, so it makes the face, but the wrinkles of the skin coming back, you know, like, you see all this like that? But just know that smile is all the way back. And my lady, it was on one side, but when I see the description of what they're saying that they usually look like you can Google this, they usually have like a big face, and then the eyes is all slanted like this, and look it up. I really don't know how to explain it, but I know that shit was not normal. That shit was not real. Okay, just like the lady said on the thing, I know what I saw, so I know exactly how that lady on the plane felt like. I'm telling you, this lady right here, this shit is not real, and that's how I felt. I was trying to tell myself, like, this lady is not real. But then again, she think I'm like a little cuckoo because I'm spiritual and she's not, and you know, Haitians. Anyways, that's y'all let me know if you've ever experienced, if you've ever seen somebody like this in real life, or if you've even heard about this whole phenomenon thing. Because I feel like I just be reading stuff that nobody else reads. Maybe nobody else have heard about this. Let me know if you have experienced it, or if you've even heard about this whole phenomenon with the monster face. Anyways, talk to you guys later. Bye.